Hello, this is Brian Resney, President of Resney Wealth Management. I'm bringing you an important update about the economy and the investment market so you can better understand what we see in the global landscape and also how we're currently positioned across the board in all of our managed accounts. You know, the U.S. economy continues to get a little bit better. We had GDP numbers out this morning that were actually negative GDP for that fourth quarter, but I think this is kind of one of these anomalies because of inventory builds up, and again, 1 month does not make a trend, but generally speaking, I would expect somewhere around a 2% GDP growth in the U.S. this year. U.S. is actually getting a little bit better, but actually the emerging markets are getting substantially better. Data we continue to get out of China, of course, their GDP expected to be over 8% this year again, which is 4 times what the U.S. and other developed nations are actually going to produce. I firmly believe the emerging markets are probably going to be one of the better asset categories this year. And of course, at Resney Wealth Management, we are invested in various emerging market equity and debt investments for income and growth purposes. We continue to own areas in China, areas in Mexico, areas in Russia, and we continue to think these are going to be some of the stronger sectors throughout 2013. We continue to do extremely well in our preferreds, our global high yield bond exposure that we currently have. And I think ultimately certain areas of fixed income will do well, but it's not going to be the traditional areas of fixed income. I think long-term treasuries, intermediate treasuries, and muni bonds, municipal bonds, and bond funds are going to really perform poorly the next 3 to 5 years. Of course, we don't own these in our accounts currently, but we continue to get new clients at Resney Wealth Management that have bought a lot of these investments at exactly the wrong time. I think there's a lot of investors who are on the wrong side of the fence when it comes to the bond market and income investing, and unfortunately a lot of investors don't realize the risks involved with municipal bonds, intermediate and long-term, and especially treasuries too. These are the 2 most overvalued asset categories in our opinion, and these are areas that if I was an investor, not of Resney Wealth Management of course, I would basically be avoiding these because I think this is going to be an area of real duress, distress, negativity in a portfolio over the next 3 to 5 years. I would continue to look at small mid-cap in the U.S., which again we are invested in the mid-cap market in the U.S. marketplace, and again I would continue to look at the emerging market economies. Economies chugging along. Fiscal cliff was a moot point, as I've talked about many times. We do run a strict strategy. We will be making a slight allocation change tomorrow across the board in Resney Wealth Management accounts. One of our sectors is going to be dropped off and another one will be replaced because it's stronger than the other sector that's dropping down into the 7th, 8th place in our ranking system. I firmly believe again that our government will hopefully get some of this budget stuff resolved, not to the extent I believe it needs to be done, but again our government always seems to take forever to do things, and as long as the economy grows and consumers spend, and as long as the emerging market economies, which is like the U.S. 80 and 100 years ago, continue to expand, I think we have a good chance for good solid growth across the global landscape. And again, if you're in those higher growth areas like the emerging markets, I think you're going to be much more rewarded. This is Brian Resney. Of course, if you're a client and you have a question, please call our office. If you're not a client and want to become a client, there is a difference. We invite you to experience it. Call our office for a consultation. We always like taking on new clients who are nice people to do business with. Make sure you listen to my live TV show tonight in Southwest Florida, and we will have a live radio show this Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern also. Go to our website for information on that. Have a great and profitable week.